All right, folks, we made it back from Indianapolis, and now it's time to get back to work. Got the gooseneck loaded up. 1972 home built. I got 12er ready to go.
Ready 12er?
Eyes looking good. I got the dumpster guy rolling in. Take out the trash. Taking a dump. About to get in here and drop that dun-dun-dun. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Let's go pick up some wood. I realized that I said let's go pick up some wood and you have no idea what I'm talking about. What we're doing is we're gonna go over to the property. We've got a material list of what it's gonna take to build the walls and the interior stuff, the lower level. It's actually 2-story at the new shop. So we've, thank God, had a buddy with a hookup to go get some material. And so we're gonna go buy several $1,000s worth of lumber, and we're gonna start framing the lower level of the offices this weekend and see how far we can get. So that's what we're doing. We're going to get wood, frame the office this weekend. Ding! All right, so we're down here at Guido Lumber. Place has been in business for a long time, and it is a really nice place. The showroom in there looks like these guys are zillionaires, so I think they've been slinging wood for a little bit.
Yeah, for real.
Kind of like me.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe we should have bought some lumber for our trailer.
Yeah, maybe they'll donate it if they see how bad our trailer is.
I mean, it'd be all right. We got one good tire. The other ones are not so hot. Look at this bad boy. Tight. Buff out. That sounds good. Trying to make sure we load this stuff evenly. That way we don't have any problems. We got our wood, and we're back here at the shop. Check this out. Got some serious progress going on over here, folks. Got part of the roof on. Looks like all the exterior walls are sheeted. You can start to see what's happening. Entry door, office, upstairs. Mine is Steven's office, Eric's office. What's that door? That's the door that walks out to the front deck. Right off that tab and over to that tab. It's gonna be the 2nd-story deck. We can walk out and pretend like we didn't go broke building this thing. We got our lumber unloaded and we're getting ready for Saturday. Fixing to throw down over here and build the lower story walls for the office and kitchen and tool room and stuff. And just taking a quick look around to see what progress got done. Got quite a bit knocked out. CKW Construction, big shout out to those guys. Been over here working their butts off. It's been really hot. The electric company, I won't name them. They know who they are if they're watching this. So they caught this thing with the back end. Look at the reveal down that wall. Wah, wah, wah. Bent that 10-inch I-beam. Must have hit it pretty hard. We got all of our underground utility stuff done. By the way, the electric company was in here setting a telephone pole. We got 3-phase power here, and we've been waiting for this for a long time. So this is awesome news. Pole is in, and another good friend of ours and a customer, DAS Underground Utilities, came over and got all of that dug all the way over to there, and that's where it stubs up, and that's where the power is going to enter the building. There was a big big ditch here that's been filled back in, so we've got everything it takes to get electrical started over here. They're going to pull the rest of the cable up through here, and it's going to come out this conduit and connect to a panel that's here, grounding rods in the ground, everything else we're going to need to get started on the electrical. You can see the entirety of the exterior has been sheeted, and this little flashing piece that's running down the edge right here is for the covered awning that's going to come out on this side. But for right now, we've got shade. We're almost got power, but we have enough where we're going to be able to start rocking and rolling on the lower framing from that end to that end. What we're doing first is popping lines. So where this seam is down here, right around 20 foot, we checked for square, we looked across this wall, try to take into consideration as many things that are out of square or out of level, out of plumb, out of whatever word you want to use. You want it to be as square as possible before you start framing, because making stuff straight when it's really crooked is not a good not a good practice. See how goofy that dude looks? You don't want that. So we've got our outside line popped. We are laying out and finding where all the plumbing planes out, that line, so we can center it up and punch holes in the bottom plate. This is not the bottom plate. This is just something we were using as a straight edge. All the bottom plate is going to be out of pressure treated or womanized lumber. That stuff's water resistant. That's why you use it down there on the ground. And once we have that line set up, then we can center up all the plumbing, punch all the holes in it, because this is the only wall that we have 100% dictated in the slab. Everything else we get to ad lib, and we have rough measurements laid out on the drawing for what we want for space. But because we get to do what we want, we're going to take a look at it, kind of float some material across the floor, see what it feels like, and make a decision before we pin the bottom plate down to the ground, or build that interior wall and stand it up. So we're going to set up the camera and let y'all join in on what we're doing today and use that and get some. Here it is. Here's your framing crew. Word. Tweedledee. Tweedledum.
Tweedledumbest.
All right, you guys. So we've been rocking and rolling for a couple of hours. Let me show you the progress that we got, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we're fixing to do. So all of our walls are 2x6. We cut these at 92 and 5/8. They actually come in a bundle. That's a standard stud length. We're using womanized on the bottom. It's called your bottom plate, and you use womanized wood or pressure treated lumber down there because it's designed to be in contact with water. It doesn't rot nearly as quickly as just white pine, and that's the way that you do it. You have to use the right kind of nails when you do that as well. They're called hot dip galvanized nails, and that's what we're using on this entire project. You've got a bottom plate, you've got a double top plate. Right now we just have a single, and what we've done is nailed these together and stood the walls up. The reason that we didn't do it all on the ground is because you don't always want to trust the concrete. And if your top edge has a wave to it, which if you look down that line, that's actually pretty straight. But if it has a wave to it, you can take pieces of lumber that you have that have big arches in them, and say you have a wall. In this instance, we've crowned all the studs to face inward. And that means that you look down the length of the board, stood, if you were to hold the board up this way and look down the top of it, you would crown it. And you want all those facing one direction so that the bellies are on one side and the crowns are on another. That way when you go to do your finish work, or you sheet it, or you're gonna put siding on it, or you hang sheetrock on it, that it has a nice even finish. If they're all bowed 1/8 of an inch in the middle, it's harder for your eye to see that than it is to have 1 or 2 bowed 1/8 in and then a couple 1/8 out, because then you've got a 1/4 inch variance and it's a lot easier to see that you have a problem. That's what we got going on over here. 2x6 walls, single bottom plate, single top plate for now. We're gonna put the second plate and overlap where the walls come together with our pieces of top plate. That way you don't have multiple seams that land in one spot. You wanna overlap those and make those where those two pieces of plate come together, and it's not strong because it's two different boards. You actually overlap that with your top plate and nail those together, and now you've made that one solid piece. So we're gonna make sure that we lay that across here correctly and tie the top of the wall in. We've got the last stud in the run actually pinned to the purlin in the middle and at the top. That keeps it stout this way. And when we come to the inside and actually frame these interior walls, we'll be able to tie all that together. And when you tie it into the structure as well, you end up with a hell of a lot stronger piece than something that is just freestanding or relying on nail strength to make it strong. So we are 16-inch centers on our walls, kind of a standardized thing. Insulation fits in there. It's a pretty good spacing for building lots of things, interior walls, decks, stuff like that. 16 or 1 foot centers is kind of, anytime we frame something, we want it to be overkill. And by running 2x6 exterior walls, we're going to have a couple of beams that actually run perpendicular, and the 2x6 will actually triple those studs up as a support for the beam as well. But these are super stout walls. 2x6 is really good stuff, especially when you have your stuff laid out correctly. So on 16s, all that stuff's laid out. Doors in and out of the office, a door in and out of the kitchen, the bathroom, the tool room, and the fab room. And this is where we'll house all of our stuff on casters, tubing benders, notchers, welders, plasma cutter, all the kind of stuff that you'll need actually out in the shop when you're building and working on a project will be on casters. And the stuff that you need to use, like the mill, the lathe, the drill press, stuff like that, those things will stay fixed in that room. Once we get this stuff done, got the beams done on top, we're actually going to run steel beams where you see the major beams land. And in between that, perpendicular to those, we're going to run 8-inch purlin, 16 on center as well. And then we're going to deck that in 3/4. And then we're actually going to build the second story, which is going to look a lot like this. Not as many rooms, but similar in a lot of ways. Up here on this second story where we've got multiple offices going in there, and some cool stuff happening in this back corner. We'll show you that when we get up to that point. Day 2 of getting after it. Today, we're going to be done. Come hell or high water, we're going to be done. Standing walls. We're at least going to burn through all the material we have. Got lucky last night and a cold front blew through. Got a little bit of rain. Definitely cooled it down. It's in the low 60s this morning. And so we're up here getting after it. right, guys, it's been a long couple of days here. We are, thank God, out of material. I don't know how everybody else feels.
Feel great.
Yeah. I'm not even tired. Work doesn't make me tired. The sun doesn't cook my skin. So we got a lot done though. We finished all the way until this corner, which is the front entryway. We've got that last little run of stuff to tie together. Got a header and some cripples to put in, which is the short studs above the headers on the windows. And we're gonna change the load bearing size down there on that one door. We were supposed to have 2 kings and 2 trimmers. These are your king studs that run top to bottom plate, and then the trimmers is what holds the beam. We decided we were gonna double up down there because that's what it actually calls for, with the span that we've got and the load bearing that we're gonna have. But I mean, we burned through a pretty good stack of material, and we got, I would say, 90% done. We still got to come in and put all the top plate on, which is the stuff that ties the entire top of all of the walls together. You overlap those joints where there's short runs, you overlap that with a long run and vice versa, and tie all this stuff together. That'll let us do our last final adjustments on if we have a wavy wall, which, let's take a look down that wall. I don't know, that plane's out pretty solid. I think we're good. You can see that our wall studs, plane out, money, everything came out good. So from one end of that shop to this end, that end to that end, it was a total of 1/8 of an inch out of square. So all in all, a lot of stuff done, made a whole lot of progress, starting to see this thing come along. And now we're that much closer to moving to the next step, which is going to be to frame all of the steel purlin and perimeter that's going on the top of these walls from one end of the shop to the other. It's gonna run perpendicular. There'll be beams running perpendicular, and then there'll be, again, steel rafters, 8-inch purlin that's gonna run parallel with the outside wall on 16, landing on all of those wall studs that we set in there. So big things coming here in the future. Big changes. It's going to look dramatically different in a really short amount of time. All right, guys, we're done here for today. See you soon. Later.